Stay with our top story. In just 3 days, the main opposition party has lost 3 prominent leaders. Party leader Mmusi Maimane tendered his resignation yesterday. He was quickly followed by former Nelson Mandela Bay Mayor Ethel Trollip, who stepped down as party chairperson. Their move followed that of Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba, who resigned on Monday. Now, as the dust settles, political analyst Professor Mcebisi Ndletyana joins me to assess the damage. Prof, what is the damage politically when we look at opposition parties in the country? This is the main opposition, by the way.
Well, the damage is both for the party as well as for our democratic order. For the party, it means that its support will be limited to white voters. It will largely become a regional party based in the Western Cape. It can't really grow, so that's the major
Why do you
blow.
say that it's going to mainly become a white party? You still have black leaders in that party.
Well, the problem with the party has been race. That even though they have changed the leadership of the party, but the policy content has not followed that leadership change. Their policies don't speak to issues of racial redress. They don't speak to issues of social justice. If you want to attract black people, it's not enough that you have people that look just like them. You also have to have policies. You have to speak to those issues that affect them. So that was the major problem. People saying this is just tokenism. Right? So now that you have black leaders who have left, that is a validation that it was always tokenism. And Mmusi tried to change the party in terms of policy content. He was resisted throughout. And you also had the Delil issue about race as well.
Did he allow himself to be used as a token? I'm sorry to interrupt your thought process here, but did Mmusi Maimane allow himself to be used for window dressing process?
Well, he thought he could change it. They had no intentions of changing the party. They wanted a black face. But Mmusi wanted to change the party. He said that in 2015, that if you say race does not matter, then you don't see me. We have to address issues of race, and he's been trying to do that for the last 3 or 4 years. So they had a token in mind when they had Mmusi, but Mmusi wanted to change the party, and ultimately they won. Partly because that resistance against the policy changes was led outside of the party by Helen Zille.
Let me ask you this question, Prof. Did Maimane's actions yesterday speak of a man who is taking this decision on principle? And here's a preface to that. Patricia Delil says Mmusi Maimane is getting a taste of his own medicine because he and his handlers, and I quote now, he and his handlers in the DA have no clue what principled leadership is about. This issue of principled leadership, is it principled leadership if he's going to say, I'm stepping down as party leader, but I would still like to lead you in parliament? The party doesn't carry the same vision that he wanted for it.
He's been principled to the extent that he wanted, let me just go back a little bit. He's been principled to the extent that he's wanted to deal with racial issues from the very beginning. He never backed down on that, and they continue to resist him. So now that the party has decided quite resolutely to go back to Tony Leon's fight back kind of party, conservative right-wing politics, he has now realized that then that vision is no longer there for the party. But practically as well, it would have been difficult for him to continue working with Helen because Helen represents just the opposite. So that relationship would have been tough, and my sense is that there isn't chemistry there anymore. As to the fact that he now stays up until November or something like that, that could also be practical issues. He does still have to earn a salary, by the way. So, I mean, those are real practical issues. People have families to support. So I wouldn't hold that necessarily against him. You don't have to kill yourself to prove a principle. That's dumb. Right? He's already proved a principle. He can't stay in the party. It's not a party of his vision, but he still has to. There are practical issues to consider.
How is he to be taken seriously, therefore, in Parliament, and knowing that setting? Surely he's going to be a butt of jokes from the ANC to the EFF.
Well, that's the punishment he has to bear. We can't help him there. But the other point about the damaging consequence on this, on the entire democratic edifice, is that the opposition has been weakened. You cannot have an all-powerful ANC because it becomes complacent, and with complacency comes corruption. That is why in almost 90% or so of the municipalities you have, corruption, because most of them don't have opposition parties. Opposition parties that question, that reveal corruption, that threaten the ANC. The threat of losing support is very important to ensure that the ANC governs effectively. Now with the DA kind of unraveling, it means that opposition vote or space is shrinking, and possibly the ANC might expand. And with the expansion of the ANC comes the possibility of more mediocrity and maladministration. So you need the opposition to keep the ANC in check, and when the ANC is in check, it performs properly, and you have competitive, effective governance in most areas.
Very quickly, Prof, I'm out of time, but are we likely to see a black leader leading that party anytime soon?
No, not anytime soon. I mean, Helen is going to reproduce herself. It's lost.
Professor Mcebisi Ndletyana, thank you very much for making the time to talk to us here.